Hey, good evening, everyone. It is really great to be with you for this final episode of this first season of Worship Leader Conversations. Wow, what an interesting season. I started this a few months ago after having watched someone else do it. In fact, actually, while I do it now, let me just give a shout out to Matt Hogg from St Albans up in Fulham, because he kind of inspired me and gave me a lot of really good advice to kind of get going with this way back in May, maybe it was April, I don't know, it seems such a long time ago now, I can't remember when I started, I guess 14 weeks ago. So, and it kind of started as a simple idea of, here we are in lockdown, what can we do? Well, I know how I learned as a worship leader. Let's see if we can find out how other people learned as a worship leader and share that. And so here we are, 14 weeks later, this is the 13th episode, we had to miss a week. And here we are at the end of the first season, just before the summer break. So thanks for joining, Steve, thanks for joining me, Mum. Nice to see you, everyone. I know people are going to be joining it as we get going. And if you are watching, I don't know if there's a way to share this on Instagram, but if you can, if those of you who used to use Periscope, you would know that you can share that. You can share that kind of live feed. I don't know if you can do that on Instagram. I still need to find that kind of stuff out. But share it, let people know that you're watching live. So tonight is the last of this season. We're going to take a short summer break over August, and then we're going to be back at the very beginning of September. I've got details about that, really exciting stuff. We've got some people lined up already for September and October. So we're going to carry on doing this, regardless of how long lockdown continues. We'll keep doing this because I think people are getting stuff out of this, and people are watching it. Regardless of how many people are watching it live on a Tuesday night, a lot of people are catching up on YouTube and really enjoying some of the stuff that's coming out. So there's such a great opportunity for, if you're watching this, to share this out, to share these videos out, to share it out on YouTube. Last week we connected with someone who just discovered us. They were from Atlanta, Georgia, and they just found the live stream and started watching it, really enjoyed it. I had a chat with them afterwards, and so we booked them in for a conversation in October. It's fantastic, I love it. It's great making all these new connections, and this is what Kingdom God is about. It's about building connections and reaching out and meeting people where they're at and meeting their need. So tonight's guest is Tim Hitchin. He is the worship pastor at Connect Church up in Birmingham. I hooked up with Tim probably at the beginning of this year when our church, Family Church, became part of the Assemblies of God. And I reached out to other Assemblies of God churches to find out about what was happening with worship within that group, that network. And Tim was one of the people that reached back to me. Really good connection. And through Tim, I've met people like Sarah, who we spoke to a few weeks ago, Sarah Lowry. And so really good connection. And I'm enjoying building a relationship with Tim and getting to know him better. So I'm going to bring Tim in just a short while and going to find out about his journey. I just want to say again, thank you so much for joining us, for listening along with us, whether you're listening live on Instagram or whether you're watching catch up on YouTube. I'm going to turn all of these conversations into a podcast and release that very soon. I hope that will be my summer project, I think. And so you'll be able to catch this up in so many other places as well. Not these top and tail bits, because you don't want to listen to me just going on and on and on. You want to hear the good stuff, chatting to these other people that we're talking about. So before I get going, I just want to put out there about 631 Worship. Come and join us on Facebook. If you didn't make the last 631 Worship online event, don't worry, because we're going to be having another one in September, hopefully. Really looking forward to continuing that and connecting with people all across the UK and other countries as well. It's fantastic. Giving people an opportunity who are involved in worship teams, an opportunity to connect with other people who are involved in worship teams, to listen to some inspiring messages, to get together in groups and chat and discuss and share and talk about the things that they're going through and share some ideas of the stuff that they found successful. So this is all part of this whole conversation of getting people involved and connecting up with each other and sharing what it is that we're learning and learning from each other. And that's what these conversations are all about. All right, so if you're joining us, make sure you say hello in the comments below. And as we get going, if you have any questions, use the little question mark icon to send me a question that I can ask Tim as we're going, and I'll throw that in. And I think that's all I need to share. Right, let's bring Tim in, shall we? Are you ready, Tim? Here we go. Right, here we go. Here he is. Oh.
Hey Matt, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm just looking a little bit different. I'm just in the outdoors tonight.
Okay, fantastic.
So,
it's a lovely sunny evening, isn't it?
Well, it's beautiful. Really, really nice. I decided to come out and have a game of football with the lads.
Fantastic.
I put on a bit of weight over lockdown. So
we all.
Oh mate, it's mad. It really is. So yeah. So hopefully my signal should be okay. But
yeah,
if it drops, I'll try.
You're looking good at the moment.
So, mate, I'm sweating. I'm just cooling down. I managed to score a goal though, so...
well, there you go. It's all good. It's all good. I thank you for joining me, Tim, tonight. It's been really good. I'm glad we've been able to hook this up.
Definitely, yeah.
Why don't you start, just tell us about yourself, where you are, how you got involved in worship teams and things like that, and your church and your church worship team as well. What's that all about?
Sure thing. Right, where do I start? So,
okay.
38, not quite at the midlife crisis yet, I don't think. So, yeah, married for 15 years, got 2 amazing kids.
Fantastic.
I was a teacher for 15 years, came out of education.
Yeah.
What else do you want to know about me? So, currently at Connect Church in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I've been heading up the worship and the media for the last 4 years. Amazing journey.
Yeah.
I'll kind of tell you how I got to that in a bit.
Okay.
But prior to that, I was involved with worship teams for, since I was probably about 12 or 13.
Yes.
I was your typical ADHD kid who could not keep still, always running around church and causing trouble. But mum and dad, for some reason, said, why don't you start cello lessons? I was like, what?
Okay, yes.
So I soon figured I could get out of lessons. So I took up the cello.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Went to orchestra on a Saturday. I just kind of excelled at music in some ways. So I'd learn my piece of music the first week, go back the second week, and I'd read a magazine on the music stand and kind of just play along to the tunes. Yeah. And then just found a passion for music, really, from there.
Fantastic.
Grew up with loads of gospel guys, which took me under their wing from like the ages of 13 to about 19 to kind of learn all those nice kind of gospel chops and chords and whatnot. And then ever since, it's just been a whirlwind of a great journey, really.
Fantastic.
So yeah, started playing drums, keyboards, bit of bass.
Oh, okay. You're one of these musicians who just can put your hand to everything.
I'll try.
Okay.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. Managed to wing
it. That's it. Yeah, winging it is all about. That's what it's all about.
That's crazy. Yeah, so I worked in the school for 15 years, teaching special needs children music.
Fantastic.
And to be honest, the paperwork got, a lot of it and stuff. And just having a chat with my wife one day and said, hey, look, I'd love to do something else for a while.
Yeah.
At the same time having this conversation, I have a phone call from the pastor of Connect Church saying, would I like to go for a cup of coffee? I was like, yeah, not a problem at all. So the year before, I helped them out with an event at the football stadium, carols in the city. Yeah. So I naturally thought I was going to ask me to help out with the carols again.
Yeah.
So I had good about an hour's conversation, just chatting about life, which was brilliant. Went and got a second cup of coffee, came back. They just turned around and said, hey, look, can I poach you from your church? I'm like, what? So like it just came out. He said, I've never done this before in my whole life. I don't even know if it's right or whatever. But our worship pastor is going back to Australia, and we're looking for somebody to take over. And we just feel that God is asking me to ask you if you'd come to our church and take over the media and the music. So he's like, do you know how to build a website? I'm like, yeah. Do you know how to make videos? I'm like, yeah, I haven't got a clue.
We'll learn it.
Yeah, I just said yes to the call. It just felt so right at the time. And, you know, when you have those God moments, I think God just wants us sometimes just to go for it and just, you know, I think if you start moving, then he'll show you which direction to go in.
Yes, That's right. Yeah, often he's kind of waiting for us to make a move, isn't he? Before he kind of reveals the next step.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that verse. I think is it Ephesians where he orders the steps before you.
That's
so
right.
He's got the steps ordered, but he only shows you the one in front of you. You have to trust him for the rest. But yeah, that's
exactly.
Good.
Yeah, totally right.
Oh, fantastic. So tell me about your team, your worship team at Connect Church. What's it like?
Yes, so they're amazing. So first of all, Connect Church is 80 years old this year.
Wow, yes, I remember seeing. Yes, fantastic.
Yeah, so there's a massive history, but it's a church where there's lots of generations, but people tend to stop for years and years and years, which is amazing. So families that grew up through the church, and actually went there when I was 13 for a couple of years.
Yeah, okay.
So I kind of knew some of the people before I went back to Connect Church, if that made sense. But I think they're, if I say they're the real deal, what you see is what you get. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't have to pretend to be anybody else. You are who you are. You're loved by everybody. I love that I don't want to get in trouble here, but I think we all know of kind of preachers who might preach kind of like life coaching messages, but whatever you preach at church is always backed up by, Bible verses, scripture. And I just think it's great. So we love people and disciple people at the same time. It's brilliant. It's like a family.
Fantastic. And what about the worship team? How big is that?
Oh yeah, sorry, the worship team.
Right.
Right, summer nights. I think there's probably about 27 in the worship team at the moment.
Yeah.
A range of people. I mean, the oldest member, I think, is 70-something, possibly.
Fantastic, yeah.
The youngest person is maybe 15 or 16, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, all different abilities, just a passion for God, really. And
I imagine as well, being in Birmingham, this is very multi-ethnic.
That's right, yeah. So our pastor's Australian. So they grew up in the Planet Shakers, Hillsong kind of culture.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of the worship team are local to Birmingham, so grew up in like the Afro-Caribbean culture.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
Then you got myself, who's a bit of a techno head, dance head back in the day.
Yeah.
So you got gospel, dance, rock, everything kind of infused into one, which makes it so enjoyable in some ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It is quite diverse. It's great team.
Yeah. And how have you found when you took it on 4 years ago? Obviously, I imagine there are a lot of people, as you say, who have been in that church and in that team for a while. How did you find that whole period of you taking it on, coming from another church and stepping in and taking on a team that previously existed under someone else?
Yeah, so if I'm totally honest, I think at first it's a little bit daunting.
Sure.
And I think you always feel you've got to fill somebody else's shoes and you've got to kind of live up to the expectations of the person before. But I think the older I've got and the more mature and wise I've got is, we are who we are and God just wants us to be us. We don't have to be like anybody else. So I think, I kind of inherited the team, so it's passed on from somebody else to me. So I'm the sort of person that would not kind of go down the route of, hey, look, you've got to audition if you can't sing in tune, you're kind of not in the team. It's not about that for me. It's I want the heart first before anything else.
Yeah.
And I think God anoints us through what we bring then afterwards. So I think I also came from a pop background as well, so I used to do a lot of touring and lots of secular work, which I'd like to talk about in a bit, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So I think my standard was already kind of up here.
Yeah.
And I came in with a team probably about here.
Yeah.
And that's not because of a bad heart or a bad situation. It's just, I think sometimes we kind of get wrapped up in the church bubble.
Yeah.
We play the same 4 chords. And sometimes you just need someone to say, hey, come on, there's more in you. Let's kind of stretch it out. Let's kind of pull it out from you.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of for me, just teasing that extra bit of, goodness out of people.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a challenge at first. My first church service was super, super loud. So we had the drummers on the left-hand side of the stage because at the moment we're building a building, so we're hiring Birmingham City Football Club. So when the drummer was hitting the drums, the cymbals were so loud and the guitars, like amps, were right up.
Yeah.
I thought, hey, look, we've got to change this. We've got to make it worship comfortable for people and not overpowering. So I introduced in-ear monitors and click tracks and electric drum kit and stuff. So that was a big challenge, but the guys rose to it. And
did you find that whole process, particularly of going to in-ears and then getting everyone to play to a click? Did you find that process smooth or a little bit challenging?
Yeah,
he said knowingly.
Yeah, bit of both really. Yeah, it was a challenge for some people because if you're not used to playing to a metronome, it is quite tricky. But you know, with anything, the more you practice, the better you get at it and stuff. But I think just to start off with, I didn't introduce click tracks straight away, just the metronome to try and pull people into time. Yeah. And some people were, I found that, you know, a challenge for the team. They were too focused on just keeping in time. They're like very, very rigid. Yeah. And I just wanted the guys to know, hey, look, it's not necessarily about focused on your music, like, you know, to the point where you're so rigid you can't have the flexibility in worship. But I just wanted them to understand that, hey, if we're more in time, there's a confidence in our worship, which means, you know, the more confident we are in what we do, then actually it helps to flow the service a lot better. Yeah. And I think once you explain the how and the why, it's easy at the end of the day. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, with click tracks are great. There's pros and cons to both of them. So, I mean, the pros are great. I mean, you can kind of beef up the sound if you've got musicians who are slightly weak or, you know, people who are away or can't make the service, or just to add the extra bit of oomph to the sound. But then the other side of it is, if you've got a click track, you don't always need to learn everything. Anyway, you can kind of busk it. So the only downside is if a track goes down or you're slightly out of time or you miss a cue, you're on your own. Yes, exactly. Put it back. So yeah, and again, there's two sides to the argument. And, you know, for anybody out there who's trying to use click tracks, you know, some people will love it. Some people might say, hey, look, I feel like it's restricting me in worship. We can't flow properly or anything. Yeah. But actually, I want to encourage people that it's the bigger picture is, hey, we want a great sound for worship. But actually, I personally think that once you kind of know a song really well, then you're almost sort of in autopilot mode, which allows you to kind of flow in and out of choruses, verses, and not have to think about, okay, what chord's coming up next? Yes. You know, what's the drum pattern or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's. I think there's a lot of pressure nowadays. I think as a kid, growing up playing music in church, it was great. It was free flowing, and nobody really kind of cared about the sound. It was just all about the heart at the end of the day. Yeah. But unfortunately, we live in a society where you've only got to kind of walk out your front door, go to the shopping mall, and everything's, you know, perfect on the shelves and the signs, and there's music in the background to play with your emotions and whatnot. And it's kind of, you know, the church is here, you know, where do we need to then kind of level up with what the world's perception is, or what we're used to? And, you know, it is a battle sometimes. But I just want to, you know, if we could create an atmosphere of worship where, hey, look, there's no pressure, there's no stress. Let's flow and enjoy what we do. Yeah. Let's do it. Sounds good. Sounds good. So what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've faced as a team leader, and what have you done to overcome those challenges? Sure. So I've made rookie error number 1. So I'm out and about on my phone, and my notes are on my phone. So I can't but it's fine. It's okay. So difficulties that I've come up against and challenges. So I think for me, it's encouraging people just to step out of the bubble and just try something new. I think, you know, as I said before, you can play the same, you know, kind of G chord on the guitar and C chord and D chord, and the only danger is it can become the same sort of sound over a while. So it's just encouraging people just to be a bit more creative, really, and that's the challenge. It's kind of, I think as a leader, you just got to say, hey, you can do it. Come on, let's give it a go. And, you know, I try and help people by finding resources and YouTube clips and send them links. So yeah, it's always a bit of a challenge because sometimes people are not very confident nowadays. Yeah, they want to get it right the first time, and hey, it's okay to make mistakes. You know, if you can't get that chord the first time, or, you know, you can't get that drum beat, hey, that's not a problem. You know, let's simplify it. Let's try something else. Yeah. You know, I was only reflecting the other day with my own kids how many times as a parent I've probably said no to them. You know, hey, no, you can't do that. No, don't touch that. No, don't do this. It should be, hey, you know, why not try this instead? You know, it's okay. You know, let's work through it. So yeah, it's breaking that no mentality.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's one of them. What else? I think challenge as a leader is I try and be very real with life. Like,
Yeah.
I understand life is busy nowadays. And I came from a team excellent worship team, where if you weren't there on a Wednesday, you wouldn't play on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And I sort of came to Connect Church with the same sort of view. Hey, if you're not there on a Wednesday, then, you're part of a team, I tried to use the analogy of a football team.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, look, if we're a man down, you're not at training, the team's going to suffer, let's all join together. If you're there for the training, you're there on the Sunday. And I think over time, I'm relaxing that rule quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just because I see it with my own children. They're 4 years older than when I first started at Connect Church, and they're up later at night. They go to bed a little later. They want a bit more time with Daddy, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Life is busy sometimes. So for example, I've got a great guy on my worship team who's an avid Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
It's not a problem if there's a football game on a Wednesday night when there's a band rehearsal, because I know that's his passion. So I'm like, hey, look, you can go and watch that game. I understand that that's your passion.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, he then puts in extra effort elsewhere.
Yeah.
There's that respect.
So you kind of, that because he's making a decision not to come to Wednesday night rehearsal and go to watch football instead, but you trust and know that he will put in the time at another time to make sure that he's ready for Sunday, because he knows he's missed out on the preparation that you guys have put in.
Definitely, yeah. And that's what I found over time, is that people actually do put in the extra homework and extra bit of effort, from the Monday to the Sunday. And it's great. I think, as long as you're very real with life and situations, and, the team are great. They'll work with you 100%. So I've got a really easy job at Connect Church. The team are amazing.
That's it. You smooth the cog so well that it's just you don't even have to be there. It's great. Love it.
Well, you know what? It's funny you should say that, because I think as leaders we should get to that point anyway, where it doesn't depend on us. God kind of gives us stuff to kind of hold lightly and kind of rush you on, really, and you never want to grasp onto it too hard.
Yes, that's right.
So it's always about the up and coming people that are coming through. So there isn't one worship leader. There's probably 4, 5, 6 worship leaders, and they all get a chance to select songs for the Sunday, suggest new songs that we can do at church. They have a say in the whole process, and I try and empower them to take a bit of a lead as well at rehearsals, or kind of pre-service run through before we do the service on the Sunday, etc. And the guys are great. They just step up to the challenge, and it's really, really good.
That's really good. Is there anything in this whole journey that you look back on and you think, I really wish I hadn't done that?
So this is the only question that I couldn't actually think of an answer for. In all seriousness, no, I think I just enjoyed life, the whole journey of life. There's nothing that I regret doing. I think I've had some people leave the worship team in the past. They just felt the challenge of kind of learning new songs, and they found the pressure a little bit difficult, and they left and went to another church. And that's a bit tough sometimes as a leader, because you never understand, you think, what have you done wrong? Yeah, sure. But I always try and make an effort to keep those relationships going. And out of everybody that's kind of left, really, I still speak to them on a regular basis, which is great. But I don't think there's anything I've kind of regretted not doing at the moment. So that's good. I'm sorry I can't answer that question.
That's all right. I mean, actually, when I've asked that question to other people over the last few weeks, more often than not, people say, well, I did this thing that wasn't very good, but actually I learned this from it. So I'm not, although I hurt people and I'm sad about that, I'm not disappointed that I went through that experience, because I learned so much from it. Yeah. And that tends to be the people's experience, that actually, you can make a mistake, but actually it's the learning that you get from out of that kind of grows you as well.
Yeah, and to be honest, I probably messed up quite a few times.
We'd probably have to ask your team to find out, really.
Because I'm a little bit hyperactive, sometimes on the MD microphone, it's obviously before lockdown, I think worship should be fun. There's times to go deep, there's times to just have fun and just enjoy God's presence. you know, get that joy inside of you. So before service, I'll have a little game like, okay, first one to spot the person wearing a green hat or something. And then sometimes I've got nicknames for people. And there's a great, she won't mind me saying this, hopefully. There's a great lady on my team, Ruby, great worship leader.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think a lot of people sing, you know, Ruby, 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 the song to her quite a lot. So anyway, I started calling her Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo. So that's our kind of little in-house nickname for it. My MD mic was accidentally turned on full blast through the front of house PA system. So like with a 10-second countdown time, I'm like, okay, Scooby-Doo, let's go. And it went to the whole PA system. And like if I could have been swallowed up, it would have been right there in that moment. Oh, it's like, wow.
Fantastic.
So lesson learned is not to joke around too much before.
Yes, yeah.
So
we do like that. It's like we have sometimes my son Zach will MD for us, and he will throw those kind of little comments in. You know, just like we sometimes get the reminder to, you know, from leadership to when we're on the stage to smile, because you know how easy it is. You kind of like you zone in, you're playing, and you forget what your face is doing.
Yep.
And so we get like these reminders to keep smiling. So every now and again, like Zach, he will like and keep smiling. You know, just like in the middle of praise or worship, and it's good.
It's true.
It's
good.
Good.
If I'm playing bass, I've got my bass face. It's like
yes.
Totally drops straight away. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's funny, isn't it? There is a bass face and there is a drummer face.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, drummer face is always seen constipated sometimes. Like,
yes.
So
dear.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, even if I want a bit more kick on the drum, for example, sometimes I'll say to one of the guys, "Hey, have you not been to the gym this week and worked out on your legs? Come on, stamp it."
That's good. That's cool.
You can have fun.
So is there anything that you've done with your team that has gone really well? You know, something that, whether it be a team activity or something that you brought into your team that has gone really well, has been really successful and brought about significant fruit?
Yeah, so I introduced team nights once a month to kind of get together.
Yep.
Food where possible. I think food's key.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But it's a little bit tricky with mobile, kind of going to a studio because you can't really take in hot food or anything. But always start with food, have some games, devotion, prayer every time, bit of worship. What's coming up through the month, new songs that we're working on. Team nights are great because it's like that togetherness.
Yeah.
So they have worked really, really well. And I think sometimes I forget that people don't often see each other in the week from Sunday to Sunday. Yeah. So just catching up on what they've been up to the last couple of weeks is brilliant. It's really healthy for the team. And I try and rotate, you know, a different member to bring a devotion or a prayer each week so everybody gets a turn.
Yeah, that's good.
I just think it's important for us all to share.
Yeah.
Lockdown has been fantastic. Obviously, because we can't worship in the flesh altogether, people have just rose to the challenge of recording videos at home and buying microphones and audio interfaces. Yeah. And all my life, it's incredible. So whereas it might have took us 3 weeks to learn a song, I'll send a song out maybe on the Monday or Tuesday and say, hey, we're doing this. And I've literally got the vocals and the musicians and the tracks by the Thursday of the week.
Wow. Like, how'd you do this? I can't make that happen. How are you doing this?
It's mad. Honestly, they're so good. So I just think, there's just been a real rise in just, you know, putting ourselves fully into worship and just giving something new a go. Yeah. And I just love that. And I think the sound that we've got of worship at the moment is brilliant, really. It's great. So, that's working really, really well. That's brought the team together. Yeah. I'll probably say those two things at the moment. They're
sounds
key.
Good. That sounds good.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned near the beginning that you'd spent some time in the secular industry, in pop music and stuff. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the questions you probably were going to ask me later on was what words of wisdom did somebody give you? Yep,
that's coming, but we can do that now if you want.
Yeah, so...
what words of wisdom?
Well, no, it kind of ties in, so...
Yeah.
Well, somebody told me, if you're going to be in a worship band, try and be in a secular band as well at the same time. Yeah. Because that kind of keeps you connected with the real world. It gives you opportunities to spread the gospel, make connections. So from an early age, I managed to get myself in a band at 17, 18. do a few pubs and clubs and whatnot. And it was the best advice I ever had, really. So I then understood simple concepts such as when you go to a studio for a rehearsal, back then it was, you know, time is money. Yeah. So you pay for your time to rehearse, which therefore meant you had to kind of learn and prepare at home. Yeah. So when you turned up to rehearsal, you didn't want to let anybody down in the team. So that was really good training for discipline. Yeah. Again, I got to travel the country, meet people. And now I run a function band at the moment, so we travel around the country still. Yeah. But what's brilliant is that I'll go to a venue, somebody turn around and go, "Oh, is that, you know, is music your full-time job?" I'm like, "Well, actually, no, it's not. I work for a church." I'm like, "No way." So then that opens up a conversation. So it's just a great ministry tool, really, evangelistic tool.
Fantastic.
So I would encourage anybody in a worship team to get involved with a secular band as well. Yeah. But yeah, I've done a bit of pop stuff and playing for different people and arranging and whatnot. So yeah, it's just been great to, you know, kind of meet people. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess that kind of sort of musical experience that's not in church, because, you know, it's easy to kind of get sucked into a way of doing things and a style in church. Even if you're doing lots of different genres of music within your worship, you settle into it, don't you? Whereas getting into having that experience of secular music, I use the word secular, you know, but you know what I mean. When you're playing in gigs and in pubs and whatever it is, it gives you a much different, a different perspective on music and musicianship and what's involved there.
Totally, definitely, 100%. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of my friends are they're touring musicians still, and it's great. I remember kind of taking my wife Ruth to a Lamar gig. We went backstage with a friend, and all the musicians have got the Bibles out, and a little Bible study in Lamar, sitting there right in the middle, just listening to everybody and taking it in. And I remember having a conversation. He was like, "Hey, these guys are different. There's something different about them. I don't know what it is, but it was just incredible to see, really." So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And any other kind of words of wisdom that have been given to you over the time that you've been living?
Oh, never work with children and animals. Oh dear. No, I think just kind of get principles right. So for us as a family, you know, it's God first. Get your family in order, and that's, you know, that allows you then to minister. Yeah. Church is great. You know, I love being at church, but if church becomes a priority over your family, if that makes sense. Yeah. And it's always got, you know, I just need to reevaluate some things. Yeah. Sometimes, but yeah, love God first. Love your family.
Fantastic. And so, are there any books that you've read recently or some podcasts that you listen to that you would recommend to worship leaders?
Yeah, so I still keep going back to the Israel Houghton book, and I can't remember what it's called. It's on my phone. He wrote a book probably about 20 years ago.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's some great nuggets of information there. Yeah. To be honest, I'm not a massive reader. I tend to kind of listen to podcasts or go online and watch videos. Yeah. I subscribe to the Worship Leader magazine, which is great, actually. It's really, really good. Okay. And I think what's great about the Worship Leader magazine, it's free, but the nice thing is it kind of covers all different areas of worship ministry and media. Yeah. So everything from how to do effective lighting and build stage designs, to how to get a really good monitor mix, to how to write a song, but then it also goes into devotions that you can run for your team. So, I mean, it's the whole spectrum. Really, really good. So I try and read that as much as possible. Yes. Yeah, that's a great resource. Yeah, sorry, I'm just conscious someone's calling me in the background. My boy's playing football over there.
Oh, okay, yes.
Probably need to shoot in a sec. But,
all right, no problem. That's
sorry.
Fine.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. That's fine.
We were due to start a little bit earlier, but you know what boys are like.
Time. It's what it is. Yeah, no.
Well, thanks. Yeah, Worship Leader magazine's brilliant. And thanks for sending me your book as well. Your devotions.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Brilliant. I'm really enjoying reading that.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Well, that's a nice free advertisement. I'll take that.
Yeah, go for it. No worries.
Thank you. I really appreciate giving up your time here, Tim. Thank you so much. It's been really good to connect and chat and find out. I've got one more question that I do need to ask, because you're in Birmingham and you meet in Birmingham City's football club.
Are you a Blue or?
No.
No. So my dad lived in London for a while, so I need
Okay.
to support a London team. So it'll probably be Tottenham Hotspur, if anything.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. No, that's fine.
He's a Palace fan, but nah, not Blues.
Okay, that's good. Is there much rivalry? I mean, because you've got quite a few clubs in that area. I know we're kind of drifting way off from West, but I love soccer as well. I call it soccer because I've got an American daughter-in-law, and we have to use soccer every now and just so she knows what we're talking about. But yeah, is there a degree of rivalry that takes place within your church? You know, because there'll be a number of supporters.
There's a few. Yeah, there's a few Villa fans.
Yeah,
it's quite interesting. Villa versus Blues.
They're pleased now.
They're funny.
Yeah.
But Albion, not so much.
Not so much.
No.
Yeah.
No. We're very fortunate. Our pastor's the chaplain for Birmingham City Football Club.
Okay,
so we get a few of the players come along on a Sunday as well.
Yeah.
Which is great. He's doing some great stuff with the team. So
yeah,
I would say we've had 3 or 4 players baptised in the last year and a half.
Well, that's fantastic.
Which has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
That's excellent. Good.
So yeah, we're very blessed.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Tim. I realize you've got to get off and find your children wherever they are.
I'd love to chat some more, really. So,
yeah.
Maybe part 2 at some point.
Yeah, we'll do it. Maybe we'll hook up in October, November sort of time. We'll book you in for another
Definitely,
session.
yeah. I just want to say thank you for kind of putting on these worship conversation nights as well. It's been a real encouragement and inspiration. Good. You know, I've learned some great stuff from people online. So thanks so much for kind of putting it together.
That's a pleasure. I've been really enjoying it.
You're a superstar.
Cheers.
Matt, thanks so much.
Thanks.
No, all right,
and we'll catch up. Have a great summer, and we'll catch up.
Thank you. Yes.
Later. Hopefully, we'll catch up sometime during the summer if you're around.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
I'll pop down and see you.
We'll do that. That'd be really cool.
Brilliant. Lovely.
Thanks, Tim.
Mate.
I'll see you soon. God bless, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was awesome. That was a really good conversation with Tim. I know there's loads of stuff there that we can dissect, and hopefully, if you get the chance to go back and watch this on YouTube and catch up, because there's loads of great stuff on there. So tonight was the last of this season of Worship Leader Conversations. We're going to be taking a summer break, so I'm off for the next 4 weeks. But we'll be back on the 1st of September. And I'm excited because our guest for that very first session, season 2, beginning of September, is going to be Noel Robinson. Now, most of you will have heard of Noel Robinson. You'll have seen him around. You'll have even be using some of his songs. Noel's a worship leader. He gets all over the country, gets all over the world. His songs are sung across the country. But also, he's been involved as a worship leader in his home church for a long time. So I'm really excited to find out about what makes him tick as a local church leader and how he's developed and brought forward worship leaders within his church. And we spoke to a couple of people earlier this season who have worked with Noel in the past, Sarah Lowry and Rich Butt, who have both been kind of raised up under Noel's sort of leadership. So I want to find out a little bit more about that, what Noel does as a leader to raise up new leaders and what goes on with his home church and all that kind of stuff. So that will be on September the 1st, Tuesday, September the 1st at 8 o'clock. In the meantime, have a great summer. Thank you again for joining me over this season. I hope you got some stuff out of this. I hope you've enjoyed these conversations. Keep catching up on YouTube and send me your thoughts. You know, what have you got out of this season? What have you learned? What are some of the things that people have been sharing that have really stood out to you and you've engaged with and you thought, I can take that away, I can implement that? What has moved you? What has inspired you? And what has challenged you as well? Get in touch with me. Make some comments on the YouTube post or on my Instagram feed, or send me an email, matt.lockwood73@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear how you're doing. And if you're a worship leader, if you're a team leader, and you would like to share your story, I would love to chat with you. I would love to connect with you. So get in contact with me. Send me a message through Instagram or YouTube or email again. Let me know where you are, what it is that you're doing, and we'll hook up and we'll spend an evening chatting like we did just with Tim there. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great summer, and I will see you in September. Cheers. Bye-bye.